You know everybody's fighting with each other.
Janis Joplin, an immortal icon of 1960s rock music, not only left the world stunned by her soulful voice, but also left behind a mysterious death, a death that to this day still makes people wonder. Was it an inevitable tragedy or just an unimaginable end to a turbulent life? Janis Joplin's life was not only about glorious moments on stage with music, but also a series of temptations, rebellions, and unrevealed secrets. From scandalous pornographic books to her access to stimulants at a very young age, every step of Janis left an indelible mark. She was not just a singer, but an icon of a generation full of aspirations and pain. So what is the truth behind that strong attraction? Was Janis Joplin's death really just an accident of fate, or were there dark secrets that we never knew? Let's explore Janis's life story through rare photos, precious moments from her journey in this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like to motivate us. Janis Lynn Joplin was born on January 19, 1943, in Port Arthur, Texas, into a middle-class family. Her mother, Dorothy Bonita East, was an administrator at a business school, and her father, Seth Ward Joplin, was an engineer at the Texaco Oil Company. From an early age, Janis showed that she was different from other children. Her parents realized that Janis needed special attention compared to her siblings, as if they sensed a deep hurt and loneliness that was always present in her. As she entered her teenage years, Janis not only had to deal with physical changes, such as gaining weight and suffering from severe acne that left deep scars that required dermabrasion, but she also had to endure ostracism and cruel bullying from her peers. They called her cruel nicknames such as pig, monster, weird lover, and pervert. The physical wounds eventually healed, but the psychological scars followed Janis throughout her life. However, it was during those dark days that Janis found light in music. She made friends with misfits who, like her, were considered different by society. One of them owned blues records by Bessie Smith, Ma Rainey, and Lead Belly. Those raw, aching melodies awakened a passion in Janis. She began singing blues and folk music with friends at Thomas Jefferson High School, where she was in a class with outcasts. In 1960, Janis Joplin graduated from high school and began her career at Lamar State College of Technology and then the University of Texas at Austin, UT. Although she did not graduate, her time at UT marked the beginning of her artistic career. There, the school's student newspaper published an article titled "She Dared to Be Different," describing Janis as someone unafraid to break convention, coming to school barefoot, wearing jeans, and carrying an electric harpsichord so she could sing on the fly. At UT, Janis performed with the folk group Waller Creek Boys, showing off her powerful and soulful mezzo-soprano voice. She also joined the school's comedy magazine, The Texas Ranger, where she befriended eccentrics, including cartoonist Gilbert Shelton. Shelton recalls that Janis often sold magazines around campus, portraying her as a quirky, passionate young woman searching for her place in a world that seemed too cold to those who were different. It was from those painful and rebellious years that Janis Joplin began to form her musical identity and lifestyle, wild, fierce, bold, and profound. She was a symbol of freedom but also a victim of the very desires for love that society once rejected. In the early 1960s, Janis Joplin began her arduous journey from a rebellious girl with a unique voice to a true artist, while living a life filled with inner storms, stimulants, and strong emotional fluctuations. This was the time that formed her artistic identity, as well as the beginning of the constant internal struggles between being true to herself and the temptations of life. The first turning point came in December 1962, when Janis Joplin recorded her first song "What Good Can Drinking Do" at a friend's house at the University of Texas. It was a rough but challenging recording, reflecting her rebellious nature and artistic intuition. Not long after, in January 1963, she decided to leave Texas, the place associated with her traumatic childhood, to escape her past, as she once said. Janice and her friend Chet Helms set off on a road trip to North Beach, San Francisco, a paradise for wandering and rebellious souls like herself. In 1964, together with Jorma Kaukonen, who would later become guitarist for Jefferson Airplane, Janice recorded a series of iconic blues songs. These recordings, with Kaukonen's wife tapping away in the background, were later released as the typewriter tape, a vivid testament to Joplin's years of searching for her musical identity. But the darkness of San Francisco soon engulfed her. She was arrested for shoplifting, and she soon became addicted, mostly to methamphetamine, occasionally heroin, and her favorite liquor, Southern Comfort. Friends described her as thin and tired, but the light of music was the only thing that kept her going. By 1965, Janis Joplin's health and well-being had seriously declined. Sensing this, her friends organized a bus trip in May of that year to take her back to her hometown of Port Arthur. This was the first time Janice attempted to make a real change in her lifestyle. She began to give up drugs and alcohol, changed her traditional hairstyle to a beehive, and enrolled in Lamar University in Beaumont. During this time, Janice continued to perform solo, accompanying herself on guitar, and attended fundraisers such as a concert to benefit the ailing bluesman Mance Lipcomb. A glimmer of hope emerged when Janice became engaged to Peter DeBlanc, an IBM employee living in New York. He approached her parents to ask for their permission to marry her, and both Janice and her mother began planning the big day. However, the engagement quickly ended when Peter called it off, a huge blow to Janice, sending her on a search for love once again. During this time, Janice met Bernard Giartano, a social worker who helped her deal with her fear that musical success would come at the cost of a relapse into drug addiction. She was warned that if she did not pursue a singing career, she would end up doing the same boring office job as the other girls in Port Arthur, a prospect she could not accept. 1966 marked a turning point in Janis Joplin's career when she officially joined the psychedelic rock group Big Brother and the Holding Company, a hippie band emerging from San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury neighborhood. It was her old friend Chet Helms, who had brought her to California a few years earlier, who convinced her to join the group. Helms sent her best friend, Travis Rivers, to Austin to pick Janice up and take her back to San Francisco. She lied to her parents, saying Austin would be her last stop, when in reality she was returning to the music scene that had led her down the path of drug addiction. In 1966, Janice made her Big Brother debut at the Avalon Ballroom, a pivotal event that marked her rebirth in the rock scene. Soon after, her parents received an unexpected letter from her, learning that their daughter had returned to San Francisco. Despite her return to music, Janice tried to stay away from drugs. When she rented a house with Rivers, she made a strict rule that no needles were allowed in the apartment. However, reality was not so easy. One day, while Rivers was away, Janice saw some of his friends shooting up. Anger flared, and Janice cried and screamed, saying she couldn't stand the sight. She still carried the obsession and fear of addiction. However, it wasn't long before her surroundings, where rock music, drugs, and personal freedom all came together, drew Janice back into her old ways. She continued to thrive artistically. In the summer of 1966, she and Big Brother performed in San Francisco for a major concert, which was later released as the album Cheap Thrills. During this time, she also had a brief but passionate relationship with Grateful Dead founder Ron Pigpen McKernan, a relationship that was both hippie and emotional. In August 1966, the group headed to Chicago for a performance, but they encountered an unexpected situation that marked a new turning point in Janice's journey. When Big Brother and the Holding Company ran into financial trouble, they ran out of money to pay their members. In desperation, they signed with Mainstream Records. However, their first recordings were poor, forcing them to return to San Francisco to continue performing. Despite some setbacks, the group persevered, returning to Los Angeles in December to record their debut album, which was released in August 1967. In 1967, Janis Joplin and Big Brother toured the Hollywood Bowl, Seattle, Vancouver, Boston, and California. During this time, she also had a relationship with country singer Joe McDonald. The two lived together in an apartment on Leon Street in San Francisco, a small address that symbolized a challenging, passionate, and chaotic period in Janis's life. The period from 1966 to 1969 was a period in which Janis Joplin not only immersed herself in music but also struggled with her inner turmoil. She became a symbol of a rebellious period and also a model of pain, freedom, and the desire to live. In October 1970, Janis Joplin's sudden death at the age of 27 shocked the music world. Just 16 days after the death of Jimi Hendrix and a month after the death of Alan Wilson from Canned Heat, Janis joined the 27 Club, a group of talented artists who died at the age of 27. Her death was associated with shocking legends and rumors. With her powerful, rough voice, passionate performance style, and fragility, Janis has been compared to the female version of Elvis Presley in her ability to captivate audiences. Her death was not only a great loss, but also led to a series of shocking revelations and controversies. Peggy Caserta's memoir Going Down with Janis, a close friend and rumored lover of Janis, shocked the public with its detailed description of their heroin use and sexual relationships. The book not only caused public outrage, but also made Caserta the target of revenge by drug dealers, leading to an attack on her family. Caserta later admitted that the book was largely fictional. Janis Joplin left behind a lasting musical legacy with hits such as Piece of My Heart, Crybaby, and Mercedes-Benz. After her death, she became an inspiration to artists such as Joan Baez, Leonard Cohen, and Patti Smith. Despite her short life, Janis Joplin's influence remains strong as a tragic icon of the wild and passionate era of rock and roll. The life of Janis Joplin is a story of light and dark, a tragedy of great talent and constant inner struggles. Although she lived only 27 short years, she left a deep mark on the music world and became an indelible symbol of a turbulent era. Her death was not only a loss to music lovers, but also the end of a period of rock and roll, an era of rebellion, freedom, and uncompromising. But Janis was not just a fading star. Her musical legacy, along with the power and suffering in each song, will live on forever, inspiring generations of artists and music lovers. Janis Joplin is gone, but her music and her story of freedom and the will to live will forever live in the hearts of those who dare to love wholeheartedly, live wholeheartedly, and sing wholeheartedly. The life of Janis Joplin is a story full of dark and light, a tragedy of great talent, born from endless internal struggles. Although she only lived a short 27 years, she managed to leave a deep mark in the heart of the music world, becoming an immortal symbol of a turbulent period. Janis's death was a shock not only to music lovers but also a painful farewell to a wild, free, and rebellious era of rock and roll. Her death was not only the loss of a shining star, but also the closing of a chapter in the history of music, where the desire for freedom and the explosion of emotions were combined in passionate melodies. But Janis was not just a star that had gone out, like the brightest gem in the sky that passed away in just a moment. She left behind a lasting musical legacy, one that carries the power, the wildness, and the pain behind each word. With each note, Janis conveyed not only her music but also her soul, burning, wild, and wounded. Songs like Piece of My Heart, Crybaby, and Mercedes-Benz are not just timeless songs, but stories of life, loss, and burning desire. Those melodies, along with Janis's soulful, husky voice, have become timeless messages that never fade in the hearts of music lovers. Artists who came after her, from Joan Baez, Leonard Cohen, to Patti Smith, have all found inspiration in Janis, a never-ending light that continues to ignite the passion in each new generation of artists. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like to follow the next videos. Thank you and see you in the next video.